All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so this is the second episode of the Vegan Demon Slayers. We have with us Kimmy, LCC, and Santos Bonacci, and I'm your host, Summershine All Day, and I'm just going to let them take it away as usual.
Hi, Kimmy.
Hi, sir. Hello, Santos. How are you?
Great.
I'm glad. I'm so happy with the response we got from the last show. I'm so excited to do this. I hope you're excited, because I am. I've received loads of messages, so yeah, take it away, Santos.
Yeah, my pleasure. First question is, how was your day yesterday? Was it a bit like you fell in a hole kind of a day?
Yeah.
Santos knows how my day was.
Yeah, well, you know why?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It was a void moon. Not only was it a very strong new moon, all new moons are very, very strong because they all start in Aries. So there are 28 mansions of the moon, and 2.5 of those mansions are in Aries because the moon travels 13 degrees every day, and so for 60 hours she's in one sign. So she's still in Aries today, which is the fieriest moon, and so for 2.5 days every new moon is Aries energy, and this is why it's so important to respect the new moon, because you start the new moon and all your wishes and hopes and all your decisions that you make, they're all best made at the new moon, and because that's Aries, and so then it'll be in there for 60 hours. Then it goes to Taurus. So a little later today, you'll find that. Sorry, I just had a shower, so my hair's all over the place. I look like I just fell out of bed. So, and the sun's just coming up in the east. Isn't it beautiful? Wow, that's magic.
Yeah, I did feel a bit funny yesterday, actually. I did feel, yeah, a bit. I did, yeah, to be honest. Yeah. And today, actually.
I got reports from all over the world.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
No, I was saying, like, me and Santos were talking about this yesterday because I was like, okay, what is going on for real?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got reports from all over the world. People were just feeling really, really bad, and so was I. And I wondered what's going on. So I looked at the chart, and I saw the new moon in Aquarius. That already, when Mercury retrogrades or the moon's doing something funny in the air signs, it's always felt, really, really felt. Water and air are very, very strong for some reason. They really affect me anyway. And so I checked it, and it was a void moon. So void moon is quite awful. It's when the moon's not aspecting with any other planets. She's just not talking to any other planet, no aspects, good or bad, and she's going from one sign to the other. So she's going from Aquarius to Pisces, not aspecting, and so it kind of leaves you in a sort of a hole. And that's why, yeah. So, veganism.
Veganism, yes.
And veganism on its own already slays demons, because the greatest teaching of demons to ever have infested this planet is the teaching that it's okay to murder a sentient being called an animal. And by the way, animal is anima in Latin. Anima means soul. When you put an L on the end of it, you get animale, animal. So anima, animus, animate. When you animate a cartoon, you put soul in it, you move it, it moves. So an animated cartoon, animal, anima means soul, and it comes from the sun. Right? And so demons all over this planet at one stage taught every race that it's okay to murder your brothers and sisters, which they are, animals,
Yeah.
And to eat them, to actually put them into your body, to put corpse into your body. This is a demonic teaching, pure and simple. There's no other way to describe this aberration. It's pure aberration. Sorry if I'm very emphatic. I'm you know, Italian and Aryan, and I've got a lot of other problems, but but I love the truth, and the truth is our brothers and sisters are dying and getting sick through this disgusting putrid habit of eating corpse, which makes them necrophiliacs, sisters. A necrophiliac. You know what a necrophiliac is, don't you?
Uh-huh.
It's a lover of death.
It's disgusting.
Well, how do we get animal eating and necrophilia? How does that happen? Well, when you go to your fridge and you pull out a slice of dead carcass, that's a corpse. And when you eat that, don't you say, "Oh, I love my meat"?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so you love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's philia, the second part of necrophilia, and necro means death. So these are lovers of death. They love the taste of death. They don't love eating raw vegetables, tomatoes, apples, bananas, cherries, pumpkins, potatoes, vegetables of all kinds, nuts and seeds. There's no end of these foods.
Beautiful.
No, but they have to steal the life of an animal.
Mm-hmm.
And they love it. And they say, "Oh, I can't live without my meat." And I say to them, "My meat?
Yeah.
Your meat? How is it your meat? I thought that bum
not their
belonged
meat.
to the pig."
Mm-hmm. And they call it meat when that's not correct. It's flesh. Why don't you call it "I'm eating flesh"? Oh, because it doesn't sound as pretty as meat. Because meat, you know, is the meat of a nut or meat of an avocado. You know, that's not. You know, flesh is human and animal, and it's still gross.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why I don't know why they're doing this. It's such a shame that people are so disconnected from from animals. It's such a shame that as well you post about this on Facebook and you get so much abuse for posting the truth and posting and loving our animals. You know, it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm. How
It's wrong.
I once got abused by someone in California who does radio shows, and supposedly he thinks he's a truther. And I sent an email. You know, sometimes you send emails to all your friends in a group, right? So I sent a group email out, and it was to do with it was something like the movie Earthlings. It was only short, 10 minutes, and it was pro not eating animals and reasons why, and it showed a lot of animals being slaughtered, murdered by ignoramus, idiot human beings, and I got a very violent, vicious email back. And this guy does radio shows in California, got a big astrotheology following in California, and he was a vegetarian for 7 years, and then he went back to eating meat, like a dog goes back to its vomit. And as the scripture...
Put him on blast. What's his name?
Jan Irvin. Yeah, I'll put his name out there. Jan Irvin. Big-time buffoon, trivium idiot in California. And I heard him on a radio show because he had this other idiot he was interviewing, some doctor saying, "Oh, yes, a little bit of meat, you need your protein, and we can't do without meat. We're so meat eaters and everything." And he's going, "Yeah, I was a vegetarian for 7 years. Worst thing I ever did. Oh, God. Oh, I couldn't walk toward the end. I had to go back on meat. I feel really good now, and I love my bacon and eggs in the morning, that sizzling, crunchy bacon." When I heard that, I thought, right, man, I'm going after this idiot, and I'm going to make sure the whole world knows that he is one hell of a retard moron. And please do not follow these Mayavadi guru idiots that are leading the blind. They are the blind leading the blind.
Mm-hmm.
They are the blind leading the blind.
Yeah, there's another. that I used to follow. His name's astrology, and he was promoting veganism. And then I watched a recent video of him, and I noticed his energy changed. And then, sure enough, I had asked him about if he was still vegan, and he wasn't. And he was like, we're not supposed to be vegan. Actually, it's not. We're supposed to eat meat and all of this. Like, he's like, if you do your research, you'll find out. I was like, you have just lost a subscriber, and I'm gonna let everybody know about you, because he has a huge following in the like people that are really younger, like teenagers and young adults, stuff like that. So.
We're not supposed to eat meat, actually. That's why we have flat teeth, tiny, tiny flat teeth. You know, and tiny intestines. We're not meant to eat the flesh of because it's raw flesh, obviously. We also don't have a long, huge, grabbing machine mouth that is meant to cut into flesh. You know, it's very basic. It's very basic. It's when you know, people want to put two and two together. You know, for goodness sake.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure, sisters. It's truly disgraceful, but you cannot, for some reason, you cannot impart this wisdom to a materialist logician. And that's what trivium types are. Some trivium types that are materialist logicians are actually reasonable enough to use their heart when they meditate and when they reason, and they have empathy for animals. But I didn't finish my point. This particular guy, Jan Irvin, he viciously attacked me, and you know what he said? He used a fallacy, which is, what's the fallacy you use when you're appealing to when you appeal to the suffering of an animal to help your cause? I wish I could remember. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember it. But you know how you have odd ad hominem attacks, and you have all of these fallacious attacks when you attack the person, when you use various techniques in your arguments to promote your arguments. Well, he was attacking me for using images of suffering animals being brutalized and having their lives snuffed out of them, saying that I was using that to prop my argument that we shouldn't be eating meat. And I returned and I replied and I said, yes, I will always be a voice for the voiceless animals, because they can't tell you, you idiot, how awful it is for them to have their lives snuffed out. Like it would be for an innocent person to go to jail, or for an innocent person to have their throats sliced, cut by a thief because he just wants $2. A thief. And so
it's disgusting.
He would want that in return if it was him.
Totally reproachable. I mean, it was insane. It's insanity. See, these people are insane, these flesh eaters. They're not sane. Now, what does sane mean? In Italian, in Latin, sano, it comes from the word sano. Sano means complete. So if something is sane, it's complete. So an apple that hasn't got a bite taken out of it is sane. Yes, an apple is sane. Okay? So once you take a bite out of an apple, it is now insane. It's not full. It's not complete. It has something taken out of it. These people have got something snatched out of their souls. The fact that they eat animals causes their souls to be insane, incomplete, and their minds.
Well, there is basically... Yeah, it's like they're diluting their soul, basically. It's a dilution of their soul, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and what do you guys, I know we need to probably address this, because you know you have those ignorant meat eaters that want to say that, well, plants are sentient, you know, you're killing plants and fruit and stuff like that. And I just want to slap them, but you know.
That's just the most stupidest. That's just the most stupidest in denial comment you can make. Plants don't feel food. Plants are not like, how do I put this? They don't have a nervous system. How is that? I'll let Santos talk about this because he probably explained it really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's easy. That's really, really, really easy to destroy and debunk and to prove erroneous. This is totally erroneous reasoning. First of all, everything about the human being indicates that we are designed to be vegetarian or frutivores because of our teeth, our intestines. They're too long. Animal-eating animals have very, very short intestines and stomachs, and they have the stomachs suited for it. This is the point, and I'm going to be able to. I've got so much material here. I've got months and months of stuff to read from the ancient ones that have ever told us the reasons why we should not be eating meat scientifically. It's not just their opinion. This is a fact. This is science. Meat cannot be assimilated into the human organism. Vegetables can. So when a vegetable dies, when we kill a vegetable and we give grace to the Creator for that sustenance, there is a blessing behind it, and the plant is thankful and grateful to be offered and to be used as food. Animals do not. Even when you pray for them and supposedly, you know, some religious people tell you that there is such a thing as a graceful slaughter and a righteous slaughter of animals as long as you calm them down and you slice their throats properly and blah, blah, blah. That's a
Put a
crop.
human in that situation and tell me if that's humane or not. I mean, if they honestly put a human in that situation, they would still think, oh no, that's murder.
100%. And so this is the reason, and Porphyry tells us this, one of the greats from 2,000 years ago. He says, don't you understand that you cannot assimilate that animal into your body anyway? So that animal has died for nothing. And how many banquets do you see where the rich feast on carcasses and corpses, and half of those corpses are not consumed? So how many chickens and pigs had to be sacrificed just to go into the waste bins? You go to the restaurants and you will see half-eaten chops and half-eaten rump steaks and pork bits and chicken bits, and some people just have a bite and they go, oh, that was delicious, but I'm not hungry tonight, but I'm happy that that chicken was murdered for my disgusting taste buds. And so that's the point, that these half-cocked, half-witted, half-intelligent, insane, demon-worshipping meat-eaters, that's the short little process that their minds are capable of processing. They think, oh, well, you've got to kill a plant too, don't you? Yes, you do, idiot. But the plant is assimilatable, if that's a word or not. Assimilatable by the human organism. We can assimilate those nutrients, those minerals. We can take them in. You can't get protein from animals. You can't get iron. Yes, they have those in them, but it's the wrong kind. The body cannot digest animal protein or iron. It just is incapable of doing it. And here's another reason. All animals have, the ones that we eat anyway, have fully developed nervous systems. They are self-moving organisms. They have the intelligence to be able to move their bodies. They have a cerebrospinal system. They have blood flowing through their veins, which indicates that they are living sentient beings with souls in them. So the kind of soul that a plant has is different to the animal soul. It is not a fully developed animal soul. So we are actually stealing life and snuffing life. And since we do not have the ability to recreate that life, we do not have the right to take it.
We have no right at all. We have no right. Like, we know when people say I want my steak. It's like, that's not yours. That was theirs. Like, you're stealing it, basically. Like, you know.
And we look like crazy people or really harsh people to, I mean, to insane people. We look insane to insane people, which is hysterical to me that people around me can look at me like I'm crazy because I don't want to participate in the murder of animals just because everybody else in society does it. It's like there's this hypnosis that everyone is in, you know?
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. And they're like that across the board, I think. They are repeaters of behavior, and they just kind of they think, oh, it's just the animal, it's just an animal. They don't understand that animals have feelings, and they build relationships with each other, and they feel it. And you just have to look at photos of them when they're in slaughter stands and look at the pain in their eyes. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be part of that, and I never ever would, and I never ever would be part of that ever again, ever. And I think if people actually took the time to research this and look for themselves, any sane person would not want to be part of that.
Exactly.
Very true, sisters. It's very, very sad to see them. To see them turning the whole thing around and making a vegan look stupid. And it's very sad when I see truthers, I call them half-truthers, half-cocked, half-witted idiots who think they are truthers because they've jumped on one truth or two truths and they can't comprehend all truths. And so off they go in their little bandwagon, and I'm a truther and I'm a truther and a meat eater. Please, please, shut your mouths, anyone who eats meat, and don't call yourself a truther. You are a liar and a blasphemer and a demon worshipper. Period. Period.
Amen.
Period. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Go worship your demon. And what makes me sad is when you see these idiots on their soapboxes and say, oh, vegans, they look so sick, you know, and, oh, we meat eaters, we look so good, we're murderers. Well, let me tell you something, meat eater, half-truther, half-cocked moron. Let me tell you something, and I love you. I'm calling you this out of love. Out of pure love.
It's all about love.
It is.
It's all about love.
100%. Make no mistake about it. It is the demons that have put that thought in your mind to turn the whole thing around and make the innocent ones, the vegans, who love life and love the truth, and to call them anything other than good, decent beings who are leading the way and leading you, you idiot meat eater, murderer, and leading the way, despite they may look sick, because I've seen a lot of vegans and I ask them what they eat and they say, oh, I have a lot of chocolate and a lot of nuts and I don't like vegetables. They haven't got a very balanced diet at all. And if you look at me in the last 7 years, I've been looking really, really, really sickly. I had tapeworms. I had a whole bunch of problems, and people would come up, oh, Santos, you better go back to eating your meat. Go back to murder. Because then you were looking really good. You were looking really nice and plump when you were eating meat. Well, this is where I say to them, don't judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree. Because you're judging what you see in me. And I would say to them, I know I have other problems here, guys. And I would try to reach out to the intelligent ones and say, don't look at this and me. I'm not an example. I've got hundreds of friends that are vegans that are weightlifters and look absolutely sexy, like men and women that look outrageously sexy. Now I don't care. I don't want to look sexy. I'm 53 next in a couple of months in Aries, and I've gone past that vein. I was a musician in vein, and I used to dye my hair, and that's why I've got grey hair now, because I don't dye my hair. I stopped 4 or 5 years ago because I thought, am I a truther, 90% truther, and put dye in my hair and all these other vain things, or am I going to go out and be a real truther and live the truth like a real philosopher and abandon all vanity and stupidity, which I did? And then people turned around and said, oh, you see, Santos is a vegan now and he's going grey and he wears glasses. These are $1 glasses, by the way, guys. My eyesight is 100% perfect. I can see an ant on a mountaintop 20 miles away. I've got 20/20 vision. It's just that I do a lot of computer work and a lot of reading, and now that I have to read this article, I need my $1 glasses that I bought at the $1 shop. In fact, these ones were $2. Okay, so this is for all the this is for all the ones who are just watching, because I know there's so many shills watching my shows. I think they get paid and they've got a job. Get on Santos's stuff and make sure you watch every word that comes out of his mouth, and let's jump on this guy. Why? Because they know that I am a syncretist, and only syncretism will save the day on this planet. And syncretism is here, it's back, and it's here to stay. And demons are going to be vanquished via syncretism. Divide and conquer's finished, guys. It's finished forever.
Mm-hmm. And you look better than you ever have. I've watched a lot of your presentations from many years back, and I don't know, like I said in the last episode, you look awesome.
Thanks, guys. I've got a ways to go, though. I've still got a few issues, and I'm still underweight by about 6 or 7 kilos. I don't know why. I just can't gain weight, and that disturbs me. But I've got a ways to go, but I'll get there, and I will show the world that there's only one model. It's syncretism, veganism, and demon slaying. Well, unless you've got something to interject right now, I'd like to read something from the philosophers. Okay, I'm going to be reading something every week because I've got tons and tons of stuff. Porphyry, Plutarch is coming, Da Vinci, all of the greats. There was never a great who was a meat eater. All the meat eaters in history have been dunces, pure, out and out, rotten, idiotic, moronic, materialist dunces like Darwin, Kepler. Well, sad to say, Einstein was a vegetarian, but he was a dunce because he taught the world relativity, which is pure demonism, and everything's relative, and nothing is absolute, and there's no absolute truth, and everything's airy-fairy. I'm upside down here, you're upright over there, and just to support other meat-eating, demon-worshipping teachers, teachings like gravity, evolution, Big Bang, and all of this other crock. So that's all Einstein was for. Okay, he was a vegetarian, so we'll have to let a few vegetarians, give them a little bit of credit for at least trying to be intelligent. But Einstein never made it to the state of intelligence. He will always be a monkey man. Please, never ever let anyone get away with quoting Einstein and saying, "Oh, what a great." Please never do that. He was an idiot. He worked for the Khazarian Jewish mafia for a start. Nothing against Jews. I'm a Jew, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Hare Krishna. I'm everything because I'm a syncretist. So I don't do religion. I'm not a dunce. I get the hell out of religions because that's what religions are there for. They're like a tunnel. Why do you go into a tunnel with your car? To get the hell out the other side, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's what religions are all about. Get the hell out of them. Go to the books. That's what I say. The Bible, Bhagavad Gita.
I think when they look.
Jump in.
Sorry. I think they're always looking for physical proof of everything, and the ones that aren't understanding or teaching transcendental science are the ones that I think you need to stay away from, because they're always looking for a physical evidence for something. It's always about physical evidence, like masculine evidence. They haven't yet touched upon the invisible or the spiritual side, and that's why we are where we are at, I think.
And to add on to that, with what Santos was saying about the demons that are getting into people's heads, like, people don't realize, like, the show is called Vegan Demon Slayers because there is an unseen war going on that people don't realize. So whenever people or meat eaters that go after people like us who are vegans, it is not them. It is the vegans overtaking them and in their mind and doing this, because that is not who you truly are. You know, it's an unseen war going on, truly.
Yeah, it is. It's a terrible thing, and it's like that people are in such a state of trance that they don't even understand why they're doing it and what for, and they think that it's all fine, but it's, you know, this is why we're doing this show. And I've got messages from people, you know, that show, oh my God, you know, it's like, so it's like we're telling you the truth because we love you, we love people, we love our planet, you know.
We love you. That's the biggest thing, is like, you aren't
exactly
right now. You are not you, and people will just like, oh no, this is how I feel and think. It's like, really? Okay, we'll see.
And
we'll see about that.
And oh, this is really shocking. This is really shocking. And it's like, yeah, because this is the reality. Wakey, wakey. This is the reality, and this is what's going on. You know, you live your lie if you want to, but we don't want to live a lie, and we're gonna push it out there. We want to show people. We want to show people the truth.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Hallelujah, sisters.
Yeah.
And when you do become vegan, and your sanity comes back, all you want to do is share that with people. You want to share that with love.
Yeah, you really do. And I think vegans get the bad rap for being like judgmental, but it's not. It's passion. It's pure passion, because we have life back into us. Our cells are full of light. Our whole body is full of light. Like we were saying in the last show, people with who are vegan, they shine with life, totally shine with life, and yeah.
Absolutely.
Very true, Kimmy.
I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. And you sisters, you are glowing. You are glowing like goddesses, and it's just such a pleasure to be a part of this, to hear you talking the talk, to seeing the exemplary sample that you are offering to the world. Surely sane people that have goodness in their heart can see this with their eyes open, to see that this is the absolute truth. It, unfortunately, many of our truthers, friends who still eat meat, they've been deluded with the doctrine of there is no truth. How many times I've had truthers come back to me saying, oh, there is no truth. There is no truth. The universe is built on truth. This is all a structure of truth. God is truth. The Creator is truth. We are truth. We breathe truth. Every particle and wave of existence is truth-telling. How can you say such a stupid... This is the indoctrination of schools. They don't realize they're mixing half-truths with absolute truths, trying to be truthers. Yeah, we can't do this. We can't continue like this, mixing doctrines of the materialists with doctrines of the transcendentalists. How do we not know the difference? Have we not done enough reading? Have we not read enough of Plato and Pythagoras and all of the greats to understand that there is transcendental truth, spiritual truth, and this is all material truth? When you hear people say, oh, truth is variable, it's your truth. Bullshit. Truth is a building, it's an edifice, it is God. How can they say these things? It's so sad. So what are demons? We're talking about slaying demons. Well, a lot of people think automatically of Satan. Yesterday I posted a video on Facebook about all the musicians that have sold their souls to the devil, and someone wrote back to me privately saying, "What's the matter with you now, Santos? Are you preaching that there's a devil?" And I said, you know from my presentations that I teach that Satan does not exist. It's an invention. It's a crock. You know, it's a concept to scare people. But demons exist.
Yeah.
Of course demons exist. Demons are service to self entities, beings, creatures, thoughts, concepts, ideas, teachings, doctrines, anything that is false. That's demonic. And people are vested in these demons. They are infested by them.
Mm.
They create their own demons as well.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, what they do is, through their anger and their thoughts, they create egregores, which are thought forms or emotion forms, which plague them and hound them for the rest of their lives if they don't deal with their demons.
Mm-hmm.
So either they have to have a healing session, or they have to have an exorcism, or they have to do some praying or some chanting to get rid of those demons. And demons are real.
Mm.
And demon teachings are teachings like, oh, you can eat carcass. You can be a necrophiliac and go to heaven. Well, this is just totally obscene.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Mm-hmm.
Just going to grab a glass of water. Keep the talk going, sisters.
I was just going to say, you know, with the like, people mistake, like, how, like, the whole love and light community, they want to say it's like, oh, it's all love and hippie.
I know.
Kind of,
yeah.
And it's so false. It's like, in a prime example of that is a mother and father. It's like they have unconditional love for you, but when it's time for a beatdown and when you're wrong, they will whip you, or they will scold you, or they will punish you, because you need to know what's right and wrong, and you cannot keep on living a life of lies and evilness. Even if it's ignorant evilness, it's like there's no excuse for ignorance. Ignorance is not bliss.
No, ignorance is not bliss at all. No, it's not. I think that, you know, the whole love and light thing, I think that I don't really do that kind of love and light thing, because there's people that do love and light who are love and light on the internet, but they're not love and light in person, or, you know, and they're probably meat eaters, and I think, like you're saying, like they say to themselves it's okay, but it's not okay, and I think that's where the new age stuff gets a bit dangerous. Do you think?
Absolutely. I was involved in that new age stuff, and I realized, like, there's a lot of evilness in that movement, because they're all about preaching that love and light stuff. When they are repressing a lot of themselves, they're repressing a lot of darkness within, and so it creates even bigger demons. So it creates a very unbalanced person, an unbalanced movement and community. It's really dark and demonic, actually. The new age, I've realized after being in it, it's a very demonic thing, because whenever you do that, it's like there's this, if you become so, it's like a delusion. You're not even in touch with reality, because you're denying a part of yourself, and it's like you have to be balanced. Like, there's a balance to this world, there's a balance in you, and you have to be able to have that balance within yourself and not repress things and make that actually overtake you, make all of that darkness overtake you.
Yeah. Is that like the indigo children movement and stuff like that?
Yeah. I hate when people try to call me that. I've been called, like, rainbow children, rainbow crystal children. I'm like, can you just leave me alone? You can keep that. I'm not anything, all right?
Yeah, they say that to me too. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, that love and light, that's a catchphrase. That's from the New Age movement. That's a crock. Not that there's any, not that there's anything against loving and living the light. That's what we preach. But that expression in particular really, really irritates me, because because people use it, you know, without thinking. First of all, the light that they're referring to, without knowing, is the false light. There's two lights. There is the false light, which is basically the light that we call light. That's the false light. So when we go out into the sun is actually giving false light. It's not the true light. The true light is spiritual. This is physical light, which produces photosynthesis, which generates life. So it is a generating light, but it's the false light. That's the light they're referring to. That light is the impersonal effulgence of the Creator. And the Creator is the sun in the sky. That is Krishna. That is Jesus. It is Moses. It is Buddha. It is all the names of every God, because the true causal God, has no name. You cannot name the Creator, the source, which is who we are. We are one and the same as the Creator. You are the Creator. I am the Creator. So we are Krishna and Radharani. We are We are Krishna and Radharani in quality, not quantity, because obviously we are a particle of that one. But when we return to that one, we will experience the doctrine of inconceivable oneness with difference. We will always be one with the Creator. We will never, ever not be that. Never. It's impossible. I wouldn't be speaking if I wasn't one with Krishna. But not one in quantity. In quantity, the source is much, much vaster and deeper, and that's the true light. It's the light of the cause, not of the effect. So they're preaching love and light of the effect kind, not of the causal kind. It's the false light, and the scriptures warn us against that. The scriptures warn us against the false light. Do not be deceived, fellow brethren, of the false light, for Satan shall come to you as an angel in shining, glittering light, and he will deceive you. And then another scripture says, beware the false prophets who come to you in sheep's covering, but inside they are ravenous wolves. That's all these Mayavadis, meat-eating, demon-worshipping half-truthers out there. That's who it is. And oh yes, and love and light, and love and light. All they're preaching, they're just peddling the false light. That's why it's best that you don't say those things, but do those things.
I think the best way to be light is to feed your cells lightness, and cleanse and eat vegetables and fruits and nuts and avocados and beautiful food that Mother Nature has to provide us. And that's how you become light. And the longer you do it for, the lighter you become. Definitely.
Yeah. Sun is our food, you know?
Yeah, it's all about the food.
I've heard of people that have eaten apples for 2 years straight, carrots for 2 years straight, one food for a couple of years. So if they can have one food, imagine if we add tomatoes to the apples, then you've got 2 foods, and then you add almonds, soaked activated almonds, because you've got to activate all your nuts and seeds. You don't eat them straight. Humans, we can't really see, that's another thing. Vegans get out there and they eat a lot of nuts. Oh yeah, I have a lot of nuts. Well, they're not digesting it. They're only digesting about 10% of the minerals of those nuts. Unless you soak them in water overnight, your almonds, it's no use. They've got to be activated. Come in. They've got to be activated. So
absolutely.
And then you can get, I think you can get about 35% digestion. You can actually absorb more from your nuts. So there's another thing. So you've got now apples, tomatoes, nuts. Where's the room? Where's the time to go around murdering animals so that you can have a little bit of pig's bum?
Yeah.
To add to those, I mean, I got inspired by what you said before, Summer, avocados and all of these beautiful foods. When I hear apples, fruit, vegetables, fruit juice, I just get all tingly inside because these are real food. This is living food. It's got enzymes in it. Yep. And if you eat them raw, this is the thing. Another thing is we must at least have 50% raw food intake. If you love your cooked food like everyone does, try to at least eat a minimum 50% raw during the day. Because why? Well, because we have 22 amino acids, and in order for the body to produce perfectly excellent quality amino acids, the body can only do that with raw foods. The moment you ingest cooked foods, the quality of the amino acids is diminished severely. And so you're struggling now, and this is where people get all wrinkly and lethargic, and they've got no passion and no energy and no will to live the truth in their lives because they're eating meat and it's cooked. And the amino acids, those 22 beautiful amino acids, are so diminished in quality, and you can see it in their eyes, you can see it in their aura. They're bent double. They look horrible as they, straddle along. They've got this horrible walk. It's like, oh God, it's just not even worth living anymore. And they look just rotten, at 50, 60 years of age. And so that enthusiasm, that vibrancy for life is gone, or depleted at least. So raw, we've got to pump the body with at least 50% raw. I encourage everybody, and get yourself a good juicer, a cold press juicer. I have one over there. It's a Korean make. It's cost me about $600, and I put all my vegetables and juices in it, and you can drink straight, pure enzymes, living, and all of a sudden, you get vitalized. You have energy to live. You have energy to want to love other beings and share the truth with them, and passion.
I do recommend Vitamix too, a Vitamix, because that keeps all of the fiber and all of the nutrients rather than the pulp being excreted. I know most everybody, I mean, if they really know their stuff, they keep the pulp and stuff like that because the vitamins and stuff, but a Vitamix is really good too, just so people know that, because it does break it down to a fine liquid. It's not like a smoothie. You can make it, it's like a juice, absolutely.
It's high-powered.
Mm-hmm.
High-powered one. Yeah.
High-powered.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So are we doing an hour and a half today, or just the 1 hour?
It's whatever you want to do.
I don't mind, Santos.
Mine either.
Yeah.
Well, let's do an hour and a half, because I've got about 20 minutes of reading here, if you don't mind.
Totally.
No, don't mind.
Great. Okay. Now, everything I share, I'll share with folks as to where they can get this. You can download this. It's 4 pages. It's an article called Neoplatonism and Philosophical Vegetarianism. Okay?
You sent that to me on Facebook a while back, didn't you?
Right. So I encourage folks to download this. I'm going to read this now, word for word, because it's so beautiful and it's so encouraging, and I want everybody to have their hearts filled with this truth. Now, the first word here, Neoplatonism, is one of the words that I want to point people's attention to. Folks, in the West, we have all the great schools, philosophical and transcendental schools that you ever need. Okay? I teach Neoplatonism. I teach tropical astrology. These come from the West. They don't come from the East. Everyone flocks to the East. They go to the Hare Krishnas and the Vedic wisdom, and that's great because their wisdom is unsurpassed and unadulterated. I love the Hare Krishnas. I have tens and tens of Hare Krishna friends, and they are beautiful, beautiful souls, and they live the truth, and they live vegan, vegetarian way, and they would never slaughter animals. That's why I give them first. First, out of all the religious groups, they are number one in my opinion, the Hare Krishnas. And so, but why are we running away from our school, the Neoplatonic school? What's Neoplatonism mean? Well, it's based on Plato. Plato was a vegetarian, of course, because he wasn't a dunce like his student Aristotle, who founded the materialistic, speculative Western school for all the idiots that couldn't cope with true transcendental theology. So they joined the peripatetic school, the Aristotelian school. And in that line, you've got all the idiots. You've got Copernicus, Kepler, Einstein, Darwin, all of these morons teaching demonic bullshit. Here is our school, folks, our vegetarian, true, transcendental school, Neoplatonism. And the Neoplatonic school was founded in Rome, Alexandria, and Corinth, okay, or Athens. There were 3 cities in the Mediterranean. In the 2nd century, 1800 years ago, 600 years after Plato. Now, why were they different? Why were they called Neoplatonists? Why were they the new Platonic school? Why? Why was it coined the new Platonic school? Well, simply because they advanced all of the work that Plato advanced after his speculative philosophical works were written, because we don't have any of Plato's transcendental work. Either it was destroyed, or he did as his teacher Pythagoras did, he didn't write them down. Because a lot of transcendentalists do not write their wisdom down. Materialists write their wisdom down because they want honor and glory and to feed their false egos. But true transcendentalists, many of them keep their wisdom till the time they go to their grave. They never write anything. Hence, do you see any writings of a potentially historical Jesus Christ? No, you don't. Jesus didn't write anything because a true teacher does not need to write. They can, and they do. Pythagoras never penned anything, and Socrates. Plato did. It was an exception. And so the Neoplatonists, Harmonius Saccus was the first one. I'm going to mention 7 of the shining lights of Neoplatonism, and I'm going to encourage folks, please, to read up on them. One of my favourite is Sallustius. Please read Sallustius. Concerning the gods and the universe. The gods. Why plural? Well, because all of the physical nature you see is dependent on the power of the nature gods. Zeus, Jupiter, Saturn, the moon, the sun, Vivasvan, Krishna, Jesus. Well, I shouldn't say Krishna and Jesus because supposedly those pertain to the causal God which has no name. But Sallustius was one of the last of the Neoplatonists. In the 4th century, he wrote this wonderful, wonderful book on the gods. I'm going to read from this one day in this show. When I get to it, it'll be a long time down the track though. But another one I would recommend also is Macrobius. I read from this Macrobius. Porphyry. We're going to read from Porphyry in here. Porphyry was a Neoplatonist. He was my favourite. Porphyry's #1 for me. Iamblichus. Iamblichus, I've read up on Iamblichus. Superstar. Proclus and Plotinus and Harmonius Saccus. Those are the 7. Harmonius Saccus, #1, 2nd century. He was in Alexandria, Egypt. Neoplatonist, #1 Neoplatonist. His student was Plotinus. His student was Porphyry. His student was Iamblichus. From him came Sallustius, Macrobius, Boethius, and that's it. Those are the 7. You can't go. And these are our great vegetarian masters, guys. I'm from that school, and everything I teach in my astrotheological presentations comes from the Neoplatonic Hermetic school. We are Hermetic in the West, guys. We are Hermetists. We don't necessarily need the Eastern wisdom. If you want it, like I do, I'm hungry for all the schools. But why are we turning our backs on this wisdom? This is the question I've ever asked and presented in my presentations. Why? We have it here. These are our teachers, our great teachers, vegetarians. Here we go. Sorry for hogging all the talk here, guys, but I love it.
All good.
Okay. Vegetarian Philosophy by Summer Tomato. I don't know whether that's... Yeah, Summer. Someone called Summer Tomato. First time I noticed that. Might be a name, I don't know. It might be just the name of some, like a pseudo name for a writing name. So, learn what Plato, Plutarch, Porphyry, Marsilio Ficino, and Leonardo da Vinci had to say about the reasons to choose a vegetarian diet. In the past, many philosophers adapted a vegetarian diet for diverse reasons. Platonists and later Neoplatonists, among others, were vegetarians and argued that not eating meat was a matter of ethics. If humans have the power to choose between animal sacrifice and vegetarianism, why choosing the one option that leads to the death and suffering of so many creatures instead of choosing not to kill? Plato on vegetarianism. Subtitle: Subheading. In Plato's ideal society described in The Republic, Plato argued that the upper classes should abstain from eating meat. Not only a vegetarian diet was the healthiest option, but growing plants also requires less land than producing animal food. I had brains back then, didn't I? A perfect example of a state based on justice. Plato's perfect place was idealized to help citizens grow spiritually. And a vegetarian diet seemed to be part of the plan. However, the concept of philosophical vegetarianism was better developed by Neoplatonists such as Plutarch and Porphyry. These are my two favourites, by far. Later, in the Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci, Giordano Bruno, and Marsilio Ficino also defended a vegetarian diet. Next subheading, Greek philosopher Porphyry on abstinence from animal food. Now, I have this book, but I don't have all my books here at my cottage. And one day I'm going to go down to Victoria and grab all my books. I've got a ton of books. And I do have this particular book of Porphyry's, and it is a beautiful book. Here's a portion of it.
Okay.
In his essay on abstinence from animal food, which I have, Porphyry, in the 2nd century, says that the concept of justice should be extended to animals, as justice, in this case, means not to commit unnecessary murder. Most of meat eaters justify their choice by claiming that animals are irrational and therefore not subjected to the same moral rules. But Porphyry refutes this argument by saying that this is not a reasonable thinking, as there are humans who also lack rationality, and yet they are protected by moral rules against murdering solely for being human. So what he's saying is that there are humans that are more dunce than dogs and cats, and we don't murder them because there's a moral code saying, oh, we shouldn't eat them, but we can eat our kittens and puppies and calves and horses and other bums of animals, various bums. I don't know why they're so fixed with animal bums. I guess you are what you eat. A bum eats a bum. Okay. Thus, Porphyry says that it is not completely accurate to believe that animals are irrational, as they have memory, sense, fellow feeling, and prudence. The fact that they cannot communicate properly their reasoning does not mean that they shouldn't be treated with justice. If a person comes from another country and speaks a different language, this person shouldn't be punished because others cannot understand what he or she says. Finally, Porphyry described Christians who denied the need of a vegetarian diet under the argument that animals are inferior, and said that eating meat was not consistent with a philosophical life. Next subheading, on the eating of flesh by Plutarch. Now, Plutarch lived 200 years prior to the Neoplatonists, but he was a vegetarian. So he was in the middle of Plato and the Neoplatonists. There was 600 years between these two schools, okay? And Plutarch was right in the middle, and his historical footprint goes over the supposed historical footprint of the supposed historical Jesus, okay? So Porphyry and Jesus were contemporaries, although, Plutarch wrote 84 books and didn't mention Jesus, and another Jewish contemporary was Philo of Alexandria, who was a vegetarian, and he was Jewish, and he was a Platonist, and he wrote tens and tens of books, and apparently he didn't even know Jesus existed. Supposedly he was only over the water over there in Jerusalem. From Alexandria, it's only a stone's throw, about, a one-day journey on a boat, and he didn't even know that the Son of God had turned up on the earth. So, wow, so much for a historical Jesus. Not that I'm rubbishing anyone who needs a mundane historical Jesus, because unfortunately, when you go to church, you are stuck in a mundane mindset, and you need mundane, anthropomorphic God men. When you grow up, you don't need any historical Jesus anymore, guys, because history's dead. Whatever happened, whatever he did, whether he burped or sneezed or yawned, it's gone. The real Jesus is in your heart, and that is eternal and can never, ever be detached from your heart. And that is the true Jesus, the living Jesus that St. Paul preached about. Forget the milk of the word, of mundane. It's like a historical Jesus is pretty much like training wheels on a bike for your child.
Yeah.
You use them, you put them on.
Yeah.
It's like Santa Claus. You use the myth of Santa Claus for 12 years. Then when your children get to 12 years, you say, "Hello, kiddies. Santa Claus ain't real. It's in here."
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. So not to offend anyone who needs and believes in a historical Jesus, please. I don't want to do that. I don't want to hurt. I'm a Christian. I'm Christian. My heart is pure Christian. And I don't despise the Christian school. It is also a wonderful, wonderful school. It's basically Neoplatonic. Everything in the Christian Greek scriptures, take note, listen please, Christian Greek scriptures, they are all Platonic, folks. It's all Pythagoras. When you read the Gospels, you are reading 100% Plato. 100%.
A lot of people think that the Greeks were backwards. Like, you know, you have a lot of people saying that they taught the globe and that they were corrupt, and they taught what's it called? Gayness, or I know the word. I don't know why I can't think of it right now. Homophobia or something like that.
Xenophobia or whatever. Yeah, they were xenophobic because they believed that all the others that didn't speak Greek were barbaros, barbarian, barbar, black sheep. And so, yes, but rest assured, there's two Greek schools. There's the transcendental one and the pseudoscience one, and that is Aristotle. All the Aristotelians are idiots. All the Neoplatonists are the real school. So there's always been a dichotomy, folks. Let us wise ones not be deceived. Let us not fall into these stupid teachings where people, you know, wrap all of the Greek philosophy and throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let us not do that. There is some good Greek. There is some bad Greek philosophy. There is some good Christian esoteric Gnostic teachings. There is some very bad Christian rubbish, like all of the corporate churches out there. They're all buffoons, and they're all teaching totally an exoteric, erroneous pseudoscience, Christianity. Astrotheology is true Christianity. All right, so let's continue on. Another great Neoplatonist who defended vegetarianism was Plutarch. Now, this is wrong. He was not a Neoplatonist, unless Neoplatonism started with Plutarch 200 years before Harmonius Saccus. Then this guy's correct. Okay, so a lot of people do lump Plutarch in with the Neoplatonists. Unfortunately, maybe that's correct. I don't know, but I wouldn't do that. Okay, Plutarch was Plutarch, and no one can touch Plutarch. His writings are just exquisite. I encourage you, please, to read Plutarch, especially the works Abstinence of the Oracles and stuff like that. These are the great works of Plutarch, one of the great writers of history and the Western school, folks. So he wrote on eating of the flesh, in which he argued that people are not naturally carnivorous, but gluttony makes them cruel. As the desire to please the senses with the taste of flesh becomes more important than the life of other living creatures. Allowing animal slaughter unnecessarily only indicates that men are being dominated by their bodies. In accordance with the Platonic philosophy, Neoplatonists defended that the mind should govern men's principles, as the use of intellect is one of the things that differentiate humans from animals, and when the bodily instincts take over, Men are easily corrupted, so the only reason why people do not want to give up eating animals is because eating flesh pleases the senses. A true philosopher must be above the senses and must not allow the instincts to overshadow the principles. Would you like to interject there?
No, that was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, yeah, it's the 7 deadly sins that all the Christians they get what slaves do. Gluttony over humane, eating, you please, senses over.
Yeah, you broke up a little bit there, Summer. Never mind. And what about you, Kimmy? You got something there?
No, that's the best part I've actually heard. It's really, really good.
It's great. It's great. And we're going to go back to Plutarch and Porphyry. We're going to spend quite a bit of time there because I really want to read from the ancients to show people that we have a history on this planet of vegetarianism. Yes, we do have a history of meat eating too, but that's from the defiled part of humanity, the obscene part of humanity, which causes, and that's the part that causes wars and killing and hatred and jealousy and envy and murder and strife and division.
I agree totally.
It's time for syncretism. Okay, so let's jump to the next subheading: Renaissance, Neoplatonism, and vegetarianism, shall we? During the Renaissance, after a long period of coma due to persecution of Inquisition, the Platonic philosophy, along with the Hermetic and Pythagorean teachings, re-emerged from the ashes, and a new generation of philosophers started to defend a vegetarian diet as taught by Plato and Pythagoras. Marsilio Ficino, he was a great... Now, who's Marsilio Ficino? Well, he was the teacher. He was sponsored by the Medici family, the Medicis, in Florence, and they basically funded the Renaissance and the reawakening, and Marsilio Ficino was the #1 astrological Neoplatonic Hermetic teacher. He translated the Corpus Hermeticum and Plato and all the greats and brought them to the West via the Muslim Arabic scholars of the East, and they brought the Renaissance. He pretty much single-handedly, with Cosimo de' Medici and all of these greats, brought true spiritual wisdom from Egypt and from ancient Greece back into Europe, and the reflowering began in Europe. Okay, so this is Marsilio Ficino. Was one of the great thinkers who was a vegetarian. He argued that a vegetarian diet could help a person elevate consciousness and purify the body. He encouraged his followers to become vegetarians and abstain from anything that could enslave the senses, such as the kind of bodily pleasures that could dominate the mind. The great artist and thinker Leonardo da Vinci was also a vegetarian. In the letters exchanged with friends, he usually mentioned piety for animals, and it is said that he brought birds at the market only to set them free. As a good Neoplatonist, Da Vinci assumed that killing animals just to satisfy one's desires for flesh was absurd. It attests the human incapability of having control over the senses. Plato called this kind of behavior tyranny of the senses. When the intellect learns that something is morally wrong, but the physical body ignores this principle in the name of its satisfaction. For a list of prominent vegetarian philosophers, read List of Vegetarian Thinkers. Anyway, there's a list in this article. I'll leave that because I've already done a lot of that already. So let's move on. In the Republic, Plato describes... Oh, geez, I've already read that. No, maybe I should continue reading. I might be different. In the Republic, Plato describes an ideal state in which the guardian class should not eat meat under the argument that it was much more rational to choose a diet that would be less harmful to the environment than to the spirit. Platonic philosophy defended that the act of eating, like any other behavior, should be done consciously. That is, people should have the power to choose between good and bad, morally right and morally wrong, harmful and harmless, instead of allowing the senses to determine what they are going to eat. Plotinus, philosopher and founder of Neoplatonism, was a vegetarian. Theophrastus, the successor of Aristotle, was vegetarian. Plutarch, Porphyry, Xenocrates, Ovid, we read from Ovid last week, which was so beautiful, from the Metamorphoses, one of the great works of the Western civilization. Beautiful, exquisite. The most famous pre-Socratic vegetarian was Pythagoras. Pythagoras put all his disciples under strict rules of conduct, which included vegetarianism, celibacy, and vows of silence. The reason to choose a vegetarian diet was based on the concept of transmigration of the soul, or the doctrine of reincarnation. Pythagoras believed that animals would reincarnate as humans in future cycles of rebirth. Therefore, they were worthy of respect. Now, there's a teaching we need to remember. Animals will reincarnate one day as humans, and they are worthy of respect. And it is dignified of us to let them live. They love life. Animals love life. They love living. Check your dog. Check your pet cat. Check all your pets and ask them and have a look in their eyes when you look at your pet's eyes next, and think and sharpen a knife and prepare to put a knife under your kitten's throat and see and imagine the harm that you are going to do to this living sentient being. Please, people, please. Just because murder of animals is done in abattoirs outside of your sight doesn't mean that there is not horrific fear and abhorrence and murder and aberration and obscenity is being performed and carried out in these abattoirs. Please, people, please, dress yourselves with sanity, please, before it's too late. And you will reincarnate as an animal. I just have to show this picture, guys. Please forgive me. But for those who are childish of mind and immature and unreasonable, please turn away now. There's Bhagavad Gita, one of the great works, and it says there that if you eat animals, those animals one day, in turn, they will eat you. You will be eaten by animals, animal eaters. You will be. You cannot escape this cycle. You will be on a plate one day. You'll be a slice of bum, like pig's bum and cow's bum, you know, and all of that you eat. And your bum will be on a plate one day, and some vicious animalistic human being will be delighting in the eating of your bum. Okay, let's continue on. Here are some of the pre-Socratic vegetarians. So Socrates and Plato really virtually are the same. I mean, they were buddies and they were together all the time. Really, Socrates and Plato it's the same thing, really. So pre-Socratic means before Socrates. We have Hesiod, Solon, Empedocles, Apollonius of Tyana. Well, he was a post-Socrates, so this guy's got it wrong here. But anyway, Apollonius of Tyana was also around the time of Jesus, and Plutarch. Okay, so continuing on, I've got about 10 more minutes, folks. Sorry.
That's great.
The Stoics were generally not vegetarian. However, two of the greatest Stoics in history did choose a vegetarian diet: Seneca, the Roman philosopher and tutor of Nero, and Marcus Aurelius, who, in my opinion, was the second greatest emperor of Rome, the greatest being Julian, who was a Neoplatonist. Julian loved Iamblichus more than Plato. Julian, the emperor, the greatest emperor who lived around, he was murdered by Christians in the year 363, which 63 is the year I was born, so hopefully I'm a reincarnation of Julian. Only kidding. So Julian died with... Julian was a Neoplatonist, and he loved Iamblichus, who was one of the 7 I mentioned before. And Iamblichus was, he said Iamblichus was divine. And so, but Marcus Aurelius was prior to Julian by about 150 years, and he was vegetarian, and he wrote Meditations, one of the greatest philosophical works, okay? So this is what they said. Seneca said, and I will be reading from Seneca next week, but for the sake of some little mouthful of meat, we deprive a soul of the sun and light, and of that proportion of life and time it had been born into the world to enjoy. Let us ask what is best, not what is customary. Let us love temperance. Let us be just. Let us refrain from bloodshed. None is so near the gods as he who knows kindness. All right, a little bit more. Renaissance philosophers and vegetarianism. During the Renaissance, the Platonic philosophy re-emerged, and the ancient knowledge that had been forgotten during the Middle Ages started to spread among the prominent thinkers of that time. The philosophical vegetarianism taught by the ancient schools of thought as a way to reach the human ideal was resurrected in the Italian society. These great thinkers chose to follow the example of the Platonists, Marsilio Ficino, Giordano Bruno, my hero, and Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, so let's finish off with some of the modern vegetarians that we have that we love. The utilitarian view of vegetarianism. The utilitarian argument in favor of vegetarianism is based on the idea that killing animals for food causes unjustified suffering to the animals, and at the same time that it does not bring much benefits for humans. So eating meat would only be justifiable if the benefits of eating it could outweigh the suffering imposed on animals, which does not seem to be the case. Since people can have a healthier life by adopting a vegetarian diet, here are some of the most prominent utilitarians who defended vegetarianism. Peter Singer, contemporary Australian philosopher; Jerry Bentham, English philosopher; David Hume, Scottish philosopher; David Pearce; John Stuart Mill; Richard Wagner; Leo Tolstoy; Arthur Schopenhauer; Albert Schweitzer; William Alcott; Albert Einstein; Voltaire. He was a materialist philosopher. He was not a Neoplatonist, guys, Voltaire. Aristotle, Diogenes, Epicurus, Socrates, Gandhi, Nikola Tesla, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Isaac Newton, Francesco d'Assisi, Thomas Edison. The list goes on. The list goes on. Alrighty.
That's amazing. Really interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I love it.
Comment on the video where they were talking about how someone was saying how Bill Clinton is now vegan or something like that, and they were like, "Is that going to save his crooked soul?" And I was like, a lot of people go vegan just because they think that they will be redeemed, and souls are just lost forever.
Yeah, broke up a little bit again there, but I think it should be a good grab in the recording.
Yeah.
Try again. It's good now.
Okay, all right. So I said that someone left a comment saying that Bill Clinton is vegan. and they were to save his soul, and I was like, go vegan just for that. And I life, maybe in another.
Did you get that? Did you get that, Kimmy?
I didn't get it. I'm sorry. I didn't hear any.
No, it broke up. Maybe you want to interject something there for now, Kimmy. Maybe it'll get better in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think what you're reading from is really. I think everybody needs to read into this themselves. Get the books. Read the books. Get the knowledge and the wisdom.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about wisdom, folks. All listeners, please, whether you are still a meat eater and you're still dabbling, please take the wisdom on board. There's no other way of ascension. If you are serious about ascending the Christic fluids in the body, the Christ within, and raising the level and the vibration in your cerebrospinal nervous system, you cannot be polluting your body with the blood of animals and the slaughter and the fear and the death. Please, this is pure demon thinking. Please be wise. Make the right choice.
Yeah.
And be kind to animals. Be kind to your pets. There's a beautiful creature.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For sure. And so I'm going to propose something for next week, girls. I'm going to bring my raw vegan chocolate recipe next week. So I'm going to be doing one vegan recipe every show. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
really good.
Also, let people know what to expect when you go vegan, and how to make the transition a little bit easier.
Hey, Summer. Let me suggest try speaking just for a change. Try speaking without the earplugs. I think it's too hot. It's very, very hot. Pull it out. Have a go like that.
How about that? Is this better?
It's perfect. Perfect.
Okay. All right. So, I'll miss that. I was saying Bill Clinton win. They were like, "Is that going to save him?" I was like, I don't know. I don't think like that cured in one time.
Nah.
So, yeah, and then what I just said was sorry, there's some background noise.
Breaking up, Summer.
Again.
Yeah, it's breaking up.
Okay, what about now?
Yeah, I think you're probably too close. I think it's either duplexing, which is a problem with Skype, or your voice is running too hot and it's just cutting out. It maybe back off a little bit.
Okay, about now.
Yeah, much lower voice. Try that.
Okay, I was saying that I bring to the table to what to and how to help people. Y'all didn't hear that.
Still breaking up.
Yeah, there's a huge feedback.
Yeah, there is.
Maybe if we try muting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me, Kimmy?
Yeah, I can hear you, Summer.
Is it breaking up?
Speak.
Okay. I don't want to keep repeating myself in case it's like not.
Oh
no. But yeah, you know how people go through those detox symptoms, and they go through a lot of struggles with that. So, and I personally went through that. We all did, you know. So I wanted to like kind of help people with that transition. You know what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of people get that, they get really, really frightened, and it's nothing to be afraid of. So I want to like be there to help people with that transition.
No, totally. I definitely am in the same place as you, where I want to help people get there and detox and lighten up. It's all about lightening up the cells, lightening up your body,
Different
detoxing.
Different to take juice, like that. Juice. Yeah, like the juice thing, and you were talking about the liver flush, you and Santos both, and that's very important, you know. That'll help.
Well, hopefully, I'm going to do some more stuff about liver flushing, because liver flushing is a really important way of getting rid of the crap in your body, and it's really amazing. Like, I'm going to go into more detail in other videos about liver flushing, but liver flushing is so amazing. Like, I can't tell you enough about liver flushes. They're just the best thing that you can do. Yeah.
And different herbs that are very, very important to help nourish the cell. You know, if people are familiar with Dr. Sebi, I know that Santos is herbs like a tea every day, and just staying hydrating, and it's really important that we get those minerals and into our bodies, because even being vegan, you can lack a lot of minerals if you only stick to certain foods. But I mean, it's all a part of the process. Cleansing takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. Depending on your age, you know, really can be a very long process, especially, you know, like I've only been vegan not even 2 years, and I'm still going through, you know, stuff. But it's nothing to be not a painful process. It's just, it's a part of it. It's just what happens. You know, you were putting shit in your body from the time you were in the womb, because your mom, you know, I mean, you're detoxing a lot out. So don't be afraid.
No, definitely not. Yeah, it's and everybody's different as well. Everybody's got a different process. But a lot of people are like, "Whoa, we're not doing a liver flush." But you know, it's like it's the best thing. It's the best thing, and herbs are good, but they're quite soft. I think sometimes you can go through so much time spending money on like herbs and stuff, too much spending of money on supplements, when all you need to do is a liver flush, because liver flushing really gets very deep, you know.
Yeah, well, the herbs that I use, they were so cheap. I mean, I'm not talking about some really fancy stuff. I mean, you get herbs to just drink on a daily basis, and the first time I made my concoction of all the herbs that I found through Dr. Sebi, I mean, I immediately had flu-like symptoms. I was in bed, I was sweating, it was just a horrible experience, but it was because I was detoxing all of that. All of the mucus was coming out. It was just it was beautiful, because in my head I was totally fine, and I woke up the next day and it was all gone, you know. So it was just a huge
yeah. You have to let me know about that. I'd like to know about that. Send me some links. Message me.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually working on a PDF file, or just like, not a website, but just something so people can reference, because I've looked into herbs a lot ever since, you know, I found Dr. Sebi, and you don't need some like extensive, like long, all these ingredients, you know, because a lot of these herbs are hybrids, and they are not native to this planet. They were crossbred, and you want to stick to the original herbs for that. And it's just beautiful learning all about all of them.
Yeah, definitely. We should get Santos back.
Yeah.
Should we get Santos back?
I'm back. I had to I had to mute. I found that if I muted, I could hear Summer. So my fault. Not my fault, but it depends on me somehow. I had to mute.
Yeah. It's all good.
That's fine.
That's
fine.
Great show. Thanks for
yes. Amazing.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. See you next.
Bye.
Bye.
See you on the next one. Thanks, listeners. Take care. Go vegan.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care. Go vegan.